So this was the month where I read the least amount of pages and possibly not a lot of things, but at least I really enjoyed what I've read, so that's that. I do not look tired at all. It's your impression. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and because we are just emotionally drained, we're just going to do the wrap-up of the month of May. How is it already June? I feel like crying. So in the month of May, I've read one book, or finished one book that I was already reading in April. I read one novella, I've read 2 mangas, and 3 comics. I know, nothing much, but it's what we can get. So the first book that I've read was actually a copy that I've got from NetGalley. It's a book that came out on the 27th of April of this year, if I'm not wrong, and so you should definitely check it out. But I have my remember to remember the name of the book and the author, and the book is called Folklorn, and it's by Angela Mi Young-hur. If that's how you pronounce her name, I hope it is. I'm very sorry if it's not. I will of course leave the photo of the cover possibly on top of my face because, let's be real, you want to see that and not these, so you will see the name of the author. And the cover is actually freaking beautiful, and I really enjoyed this book. So even though it's not my typical read, since it is sort of a contemporary magical realism sort of book, even though I really enjoy magical realism, I think this one was a bit more contemporary sort of like. But this is basically a book about our main character. She is the daughter of 2 Korean immigrants. And so this book talks about how she is a renowned physicist and how her mother suddenly dies and she's thrown back into all of her childhood situations, all of the trauma that comes with being immigrants and everything that the family kind of puts into you, because you've never lived what your family lived, and they're doing their best to actually make you study and have a better life, but at the same time the expectations are a bit different and you feel like you have to be the best, and you have of course cultural expectations that are mixed between America, where they were actually emigrated to, and Korea, from where they were from. And so it's about wow, I can't speak. It's about generational trauma and how it affects the children of the actual immigrants, and how it affects families, and how it affects cultural dynamics and stories that are a part of you and come with you. And of course, I am not an immigrant. I've always lived in Portugal. I am Portuguese. But even I think that I could understand some of the topics that were approached, and I think it's actually being a non-voices book. It's a very, very important book. It's a diverse book, and it's a book that you should give importance to because it explores this sort of trauma, which is very, very real, not only to Korean American immigrants, but also to other people that actually immigrate towards other countries. This is how it must feel like to be 2 things, like half in one side of the world and half on the other side of the world, and kind of having to get to terms with that. And even though it has a lot of magical realism because it is based on Korean folklore, which is also pretty cool because I think I've never read a Korean book. I've read a lot of Japanese manga, so I know a lot of Japanese traditions, but Korean, I was not at all prepared for what it brought. The expectations on women, the difference, the situations about mental health, and the difference between women and men in their lives and in cultures, and how we can be challenged. And it was a really cool book. It wasn't my favorite book just because contemporaries aren't really my thing, and so sometimes it was a bit slowed down, but I really like the dynamics between the characters and the psychology behind all of it. So I would really advise you to actually read that book if you can. Then I've read a horror novella, which has got to be one of my favorite horrors ever because it was absolutely terrifying to me. And that is The Bell Chime by Mona Kabani. She's an indie author, so you'll probably have to go to Amazon or to her website, which I will leave linked down below if you want to get her book. I've actually done a review on this, so I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but this is basically a novella about this girl she is okay, she's living her life, she's doing great. One day she's going to buy stuff and she sees a poster with a photo of her that says, have you seen this woman? Like missing. Have you seen her? Of course, she's not missing, and the picture of her is very disturbing and completely different from what her face should be like. But it's her, and so she starts to unravel. And it's a book about paranoia, anxiety, depression, and basically mental health, and how your perception of the world is completely different when you have a mental illness than it would be in a sense for normal people. I do not believe in the term normal, because I think we all have our little bits and pieces that differentiate us from others. But it's about perspectives. It's about life. It's really terrifying. It did give me a panic attack. And wow, it was absolutely great for being 154 pages. I was doubting reality by the end of this. So if you want, I'll leave my review linked up above, which I think it will probably already be there, and you can go and watch it. I've also done a conversation with my friend Miguel, which I will leave his channel down below, about this book. It has no spoilers, and we had a lot of fun. So if you go watch it, we will be thankful. Now for the mangas that I've read, I read Lovesickness by Junji Ito, which is his new short story collections that came out in English. It's a beautiful, gorgeous edition, and I really enjoy this. As for the Bell Chime, I also have a review for Lovesickness, as I have a review for all of Junji Ito's works, because he's one of my favorite mangakas and I love talking about his works, so I'm going to leave them linked somewhere and maybe have a playlist or not, we will see. So to not elongate too much on this, because we already have that review, this is a collection of stories based on Japanese folklore and metaphorically for societal criticism. It has beautiful drawings, and the stories that give the title to this manga are stories about people that stand on intersections and ask for their fate to be revealed. So, and there's this creepy, beautiful boy, which I don't find him beautiful at all, but I mean perception, that goes into the intersections in foggy nights and gives ill fates to people, which actually makes them die gruesome deaths, which we fans of horror love, but it's not cool for society, you know? People dying, dropping dead in a village, I mean, not really cool. So that's the main plot of this, and there's also stories about this very disturbing family, which I enjoyed, but it was really disturbing. And then there's a story about a poop, which is possibly the most horrific thing I've ever seen and is not supposed to be a horror story. So that's that. If you're intrigued, pick this manga up. Then I've read The Ancient Magus Bride Volume 13 by Kori Yamasaki. I am really enjoying this new arc of The Ancient Magus Bride. It's a little bit more dark academia because we are now in a college and we are exploring the difference between what are magus and what are alchemists and all of their relationships with the other side, the side of magic, the side of fae. And as I've said once, this is like the only fae-based folklore and English-based folklore. Well, no, I actually like Celtic folklore a lot, but fae folklore, it's like the only thing that I like to read, because I don't really like fae folklore for some reason. So if that says anything, it says this is great. It has familiars, it has magic, it has also a very nice view on depression and healing from it for our main character, and it has a lot of cool dynamics with her colleagues, so I think you should read it. And then I've read 3 comics, and they all had to do with my obsession, The Joker. So those comics were Punchline by Tynion Forth, Johns, Andolfo, and Fajardo Jr. They were The Joker by Tynion, March, and Prianto, issue 1, and The Joker, issue 2, by, of course, the same authors. So this first one, it's about our new woman character in The Joker colleagues, let's call it that. And Punchline is a badass, ruthless, intelligent, great villain, or villain sidekick. Although I think she's going to be more than a sidekick, possibly. And I like her dynamic with the Joker way more than I like Harley's dynamic with the Joker, because if you know anything about Batman characters, and Harley Quinn and the Joker, their relationship is toxic and he is always mistreating her. It's violent, it's domestic abuse, and I hate it. I cannot ship them. I really cannot. But Punchline with the Joker, she's equally as mean, toxic, and not giving a flying fuck as he. So even though that's not positive, and that's not a relationship that in the world, the real world where we live, I would enjoy and advocate for, in here, I love it. I mean, the first time that she met the dude, she stabbed him and she was like, bitch, you think you know everything, but you need my fucking help. And I was like, yes, yes. I was so excited. I really enjoy Punchline, and I've heard not some great reviews about her, which I'm upset. I mean, she's badass. It's time that we have an unhinged female as a villain, not a main villain, but a sidekick villain, possibly a main villain. We don't know. I mean, female villains exist, okay? Please. And then these two are great. This is sort of a noir detective thing. Jim Gordon is given the opportunity, now that he's retired, to actually find the Joker, who is MIA after his last laugh. He's pissed a lot of people that want to see him dead. So it's kind of the situation of, will Jim Gordon kill him or bring him to justice once more, just to know that he's going to escape, as he always does. And it's very morally gray, and I'm really excited to see where this is going. There's a lot of people going for the Joker and wanting to kill him. So I'm obsessed to see what he's going to do. I really am. So that's going to be all for this video. If you've read any of these books / comics, tell me something in the comments down below. If you love these characters, if you don't, just tell me. And if you're intrigued for some of these, please talk to me in the comments down below. So that's going to be all for today, and happy readings to you all. Bye!